Welcome to Linwood Election Watch 2015. I'm your host, Teresa Whipple. In the studio is Shirley Sutton, who's a candidate for Linwood City Council Position 4. Shirley, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Glad to be here.
Could you tell us a bit about yourself and your background and why you're running for the City Council?
I'd be glad to. I work with a Fortune 500 company for 20 years, and during that time I learned had a number of experiences and opportunities. As a person who worked with the labor unions, I was able to sit at the table and champion individuals that needed my expertise. I have skill in negotiations and mediation. With that, those experiences have given me, I feel, tools that I can work with and help our City Council be more grounded in helping our Linwood residents. With that, also, I have just completed 20 years in education. I served through K through 12 and then post-secondary, and I wrote various grants that also help with the population of foster care and homelessness. And it was very, very, very wonderful in terms of being able to help those particular individuals with the needs that they have. And so I have that background as well. Plus, I'm also involved in our community, pretty much really involved with our community a lot.
Yeah, you
and I
sit on
emphasize that
boards,
because I know who our community is. I see them, I touch them, I talk to them. And it's that, I think, of all the experiences I have really says that I'm very passionate about being a member of Linwood. And that's why I'm running. I would like to bring my expertise and my knowledge and my skill set to help our city move forward.
Okay. We have a few questions that are related to issues that the City Council has been dealing with in recent months and years. And one of them is recent discussion about the City and Snohomish County Fire District 1 meeting to talk about some possible regional fire consolidation. Do you have a position on that idea at this time, or is it something that you've been thinking about at all?
Well, there has been a lot of discussion, you're right about that, and I think there's some clarity yet still not really clear in terms of how that's going to affect our population here in Linwood. As you know, Linwood Police and Fire have really had high ratings in terms of their response is concerned. With that, I think our residents really don't understand the importance of having them in terms of being accessible. We have a good growth that's going on here in the city of Linwood. We have senior housing that's coming in that's going to attract a population that's going to need those services ASAP. And so my position is that I really feel that we really, instead of starting to consolidate, we really need to let our population that are here settle itself before we start reducing services. In 2014, we lost 1,200,000 plus from the fire and medical, and 500,000 from our police. To me, that's going backwards. If we say we're a progressive city, we then need to be planning for progress, not reducing the services that we so sorely need.
So that was through budget cuts. And as you look toward the future and with the growth of the city, the question is how do you, when you take a look at the bigger picture budget, how do you decide how to get additional funds for those services?
Well, it might be where we need to look outside of ourselves in terms of maybe federal grant monies. We have wonderful corporations here in our area, partnerships. There's collaborations. There's ways that we can come up with initial monies to keep our citizens safe that we need, because that is part of being a resident. Our constituencies, their safety is most important, number one. So I think, cutting out some of the frills that I have noticed going on lately, that might be another way of really using the tax dollars the way I think the taxpayers think they should be used.
Okay. And do you have some examples when you say frills? Do you have some examples of things that you think maybe you're fall into that category at this point?
Well, I think, it's nice to have a city that looks clean. It's nice to have a city that's graffiti free. It's nice to have a city where you don't see broken down cars in your neighborhoods and that type of thing. And I think what I would like to see is to have less flowers planted and more of our parks, emphasis on more of our parks being made, safe for people to be in. I love the banners, not a problem. But I just think that there's other ways that we can beautify our city without having to spend needed funds to keep services in place.
Okay. Another topic that has certainly been discussed lately has been the marijuana ban and the fact that the council voted, to ban retail and medical marijuana in the city. And one of the main issues that came up was that the state was not giving any revenue to the cities to offset some of the increased costs that might come along as a result of having these businesses in town. There was no revenue sharing. If that were to be figured out with the state, that they would allow some revenue sharing, do you have a position on what you might do if you were on the council if that issue came back before the council? Would you oppose the ban, uphold the ban? What would you do?
I think at this point in time, there is such a differentiating responsibility between state and federal as it is now. And frankly, my background is parent educator, and I train parents on how to detect when their children are using drugs or marijuana or doing things that is harming themselves. And frankly, that does go against my concept of wellness and health. There are, of course, situations in which a person might be able to partake in that, and I say that's fine. But just to openly make it so available that our young folks can have access to it, I'm not supporting that at all.
Okay.
I don't support it.
Okay. One of the things that the council has been talking about is through the Transportation Benefit District, which, the city council wears both hats, and are looking at a possible transportation measure that would might include raising sales tax and reducing the vehicle tab fees as a way to get some money to do street repairs and some other things that have been needed in the city. Do you have a position on that at this point, how you would vote if you were on the council?
Well, I think we do have infrastructure problems. And of course, it does take revenue in order to fix those problems, those potholes and et cetera. At this point in time, I really need to study it a little bit more in detail. I do know that, there are problems no matter what one does, whether it's raise money or not raise money or what have you. But again, we have a growth that's happening. And so I think it's important for us to look at all areas in order to, again, make not only our city safe, but make sure our residents are being treated where they can get to and from without having to be hampered or taking the time that it takes to get from one area to another. 7 miles, Linwood's 7 miles square. And I know I have been caught up in traffic jams, which I thought would never happen, So again, that would take some thought, and maybe we might have to restructure how our trails run. In bigger cities, you see where they have one-way streets. Maybe this is something we might have to consider. Redirecting traffic for one. That might help in terms of the big expense that's going to happen. But I think right now there's still a lot that has to be discussed around that.
Okay. One of the things that I've heard people say is that Linwood is a city that's too reliant on sales tax for revenues. I'm wondering if you agree with that statement and if you would support diversifying Linwood's revenue sources, and if you had any ideas on ways to do that.
Well, I agree. I have heard those very same things and very concerns about those things. When you really break down a dollar in terms of sales tax, you know, the city itself does not get the 100%. It doesn't get the whole dollar. It only gets a fraction of it, maybe 10 cents on a dollar, 9 cents on a dollar. A lot of the other pieces of that goes to state general funds and transit and et cetera. So diversifying even with not necessarily big businesses, but with small businesses, which we see a lot happening now. We have a number of small businesses coming in. I think eventually will kind of help with that. But again, it takes a lot more voice, I think, to the table. Instead of just having a few folks make the decision, I think we need to have the greater residents, a greater population, weighing in on sales tax.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You know, speaking of just involving the entire population, you know, the city's ethnic and immigrant populations continue to increase. And what are ways the city can involve these residents in government and provide services to them?
Well, I think one thing they've done is hold Linwood University, and I would encourage any citizen, any resident to attend that. It gives a view of what the city services are, resources are, and they learn so much. And the good thing about it is that not just the immigrants who sorely need probably a lot more than residents that have been here. But the thing is that it also brings people together. People get to know one another, and that really helps the whole entire relationship building. Civic engagement, you know, we have other like events also that brings people together, and I think it's very important for all residents to feel welcome and be able to attend those events, not necessarily with a price tag, but broaden their experience and reach out too. We have businesses. I've always thought about, we have these businesses that have these marquees. And I thought, wow, you know, wouldn't it be wonderful if they used the marquees to send out a message to the community, something really positive. And it could be in different languages, you know, just have a different foreign international day of some sort and have different languages that says welcome on all of those marquees. Anything that we can do to bring our citizens together where we can see each other and learn from each other, to me, is very, very important.
Yeah, I've seen people talking about Linwood University, and it just looks like a lot of fun.
It is fun. It is fun.
So you've been through it?
I went through it, and I have had several other individuals go through it because I recommended it. So it's just a resource, you know. And we have a lot of other resources that our residents, I think, can take advantage of as well. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting out that communication, letting them know what's available. Because not everybody's on internet. Not everybody has a computer. Not everybody's on, you know, iPhones and everything. And especially our immigrant populations mostly, and our low income, and some of our seniors too. So again, I think the more we are able to touch the populations and give them the education, I feel that will help them be more of a better contributor to our community, the better we all gain from that.
Okay. So this is a topic that you and I probably talked about the last time you ran for city council, because it keeps coming up, and that is those red light cameras.
Oh.
Is it something that you still hear people in the community talking about? Do you have, I don't remember what you said about them last time, but do you have an opinion about red light cameras?
Well, you know, it's really interesting. I have heard from residents which is sort of like twist from last time, is that they were thankful for those red light cameras. They were thankful because it taught them to slow down, it taught them to be more accountable in their driving, and etc. That's one side, because I think that's the point of it. But the other side is if you cannot collect the fines from people because they don't have the money to pay, then it doesn't help the coffers,
Right.
which goes to help maintain our police and our fire, and also maintain those red light cameras. So it's kind of a catch-22 on that.
Yeah.
One way it helps, and the other it doesn't help.
Right.
You know, it drains. You know,
Right.
it drains the coffers more so. So again, you know, that's something I think that it needs to be rethought. It
Maybe
really
deserves
does.
another look.
Yeah, because if it's costing us more to maintain than what we're bringing in revenue, then it's not helping us as a community. It really isn't. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Very good. Well, now is the time for you to be able to address the voters directly and talk about issues that are important to you, whatever maybe I didn't ask, or just to wrap up, why you think people should vote for you. So,
Oh, okay.
your
Thank
turn.
you. Thank you very much, Teresa. I would like, one of the things I'd like to do is, just be real clear with the voters, is that it's important for you to vote, no matter who you vote for, because sometimes I think folks feel that they don't have a voice, and you have a voice. And I'm going to encourage each and every one of you, no matter who you vote for, although I hope you vote for me, is to exercise your vote. Again, I bring experience to the council. I bring skills to the council. I bring networking, relationships building, education to the council, as well as to the community. And some of you put me here right now facing you, so I'm hoping that you made the right decision. And I know I made the right decision by listening and connecting. So that's what I'm all about, service with integrity, and thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, and I wish
Thank
you
you.
the best in your campaign.
Thank you very much, Teresa. Thanks for having me.